My friends, my friends had a baby, right? And a lot of my friends are having babies either this year or some of them already had them last year. Basically, since the pandemic, I guess my friends have had a lot of time together. And okay. Basically, I met one of my friend's babies and I could tell that I was the baby's first black person. Like I could tell it was just so apparent. It was like as soon as we looked at each other, he went through all of the emotions at one time. Like, cause when they rolled him over and he looked at me, he was like, oh. Oh. And it was an odd feeling. I didn't even bring it up. I could just tell. You know what I mean? Like I could feel it. And look, I'm not even saying it's the baby's fault. The baby got a white family. Hadn't got around to exploring the world yet, I was the baby's first black person and it made me think about, I don't know if I fully remember the real first time, but I kind of remember what I at least think was me meeting my first white person. It's very important that the day before this happened, I was at a family picnic, right? I was at this family picnic and extended family had come. So I'm seeing cousins I don't normally see and all of the older people are there and everything. And so some of the kids are playing, some of them running around, right? There was one kid that was running around, knocking a bunch of stuff over, one of my older cousins, right? And he had to be maybe 8 or 9 or something, but he's running around, and his parents were telling him, hey, slow down or stop or be still real quick. We're about to eat, all that stuff. And then he's still running around, knocking drinks over every once in a while. And finally, my great aunt, his grandma, as he was passing, she did that grandma move where she just snatched him real quick, right? Even his parents couldn't catch up. His parents were running come on now. She was pow, it was incredible. She snatched the little arm and stopped him right there. And then she looked at him and he looked at her. And then she said through her teeth, so you know she meant it, right? She was like, if you don't be still, I'm going to slap the black off you. So the next day, when I met this kid, all I could think was, it can happen. Ooh, I gotta be extra nice to him. Something clearly going on at home. I was watching documentary about serial killers and sociopaths and stuff, and how basically they do these profiles where they try to identify whatever these specific things are with their personality that make them the way they are, right? A lot of the traits and a lot of the signs. And one of the things they were saying in the documentary is that one of the best things you can do for anyone that's suffering from these sort of things is to find it as early as possible. That way you can help them before they do harm, But then they also said that it's difficult to identify some of these traits when people are kids, because a lot of the list of what psychopaths and sociopaths do as kids is a list of things that kids already do. Not the full list, but a considerable amount of it, And one of the things in the list is long-term bedwetting, right? Bedwetting at 13, 14, whatever, right? And it triggered a memory for me. Because when I was little, I had to be 12 or something. I got invited to a sleepover, which was a big deal for me. I'm an only child, Getting invited to a sleepover as a kid is going out to the club as an adult. You know what I mean? It's the same energy. It's me and my boys ride tonight. And so we got over there and we're having a great time. We're watching movies, we're playing games, we're like in the yard playing football and stuff. But it wasn't until it was time to go to bed that I realized that there was a hierarchy here. Because the kid who invited us, that was hosting us, only had so much room in his room. So his closest friends stayed in his room with him. And the rest of us stayed in the living room, right? And his parents made these little bulgy, like blankets and stacks of quilts and stuff for us to sleep on and everything. And I know it shouldn't have been a big deal to me because we had been playing all day. But if you've ever been to a sleepover, you know that when you're supposed to be asleep is when the good stuff happens. That's when the real conversation is had. And that's when all the memories get made. And I'm out here in the living room with the losers. So I get ready to go to bed, right? And I was laying with this other kid because it was 2 to each for everything. And it's not really important to the story, but the kid's name was DeMarvin, right? And so we fall asleep and I wake up middle of the night. Don't even know why I woke up, you know? And I notice when I wake up that just like the side of my leg and the side of my elbow are wet. And so I look over and DeMarvin not there, but his whole spot is wet. And I sat up, and as I sat up, I looked up and DeMarvin was sitting across from me watching me sleep. That's strike 1, all right? Any child who watches you sleep, that should be on the list right there. And not only is he watching me sleep, he got his legs crossed. That's strike 2. How you gonna sit there and cross your legs and watch somebody sleep like a villain? He's watching me sleep, has his legs crossed, and when I sit up, you ever so scared you assume you're not awake? It was so freaky to just see him there already staring at me. I was like, I'm tripping. I need to go back to bed. This kid looks at me, legs crossed, and goes, Joshua. That's strike 3. Full name? Full name. We're both kids. Full name? You're the devil. This kid looks at me and goes, Joshua, I've wet the bed. But I'm gonna tell everyone it was you. I'm not gonna lie, I was like, what? How does that even make sense? Like, I'm the side of my leg is wet. Your whole spot was wet. People saw you sleep here. What are you talking about? You gonna tell everybody that I wet the bed? And then he goes from this like crazy intense stare to his face softening. And he's like, do you ever change your clothes? And as soon as he says it, I get it. As soon as that kid says that, I fully understand. Because that's gotta be terrifying. You know, you're at a sleepover, maybe you don't get invited to many, and you wet the bed? You're around a bunch of 12-year-old boys and you wet the bed. You'll never live it down. Wetting the bed at a sleepover at 12 is like wetting the bed when you go out clubbing with your boys. It's like, you killing the whole vibe right now. I knew we shouldn't have invited Jerry. He wet in the bed. Can't handle his liquor at all. So as soon as he said it, I got it. I really did. I understood. I was like, dang, that's tough, right? I don't know what I would do. I wet the bed. I'm trying to make friends with other kids. I'm a living room kid as well, so I'm already a loser. And then I wet the bed. I wouldn't live it down. And so I looked at him. I was like, man, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I only have the clothes that I have. I don't have any extra clothes. And then he goes, oh, okay. And I don't know where he got it from, but as soon as he said okay, he grabbed a cup of water, he threw it on me, right? And as soon as he threw the water on my crotch, I was like, ow, ow, what's wrong with you? And the first kid woke up, and DeMarvin was like, Josh wet the bed. And this is my thing. It would have been so much simpler to wake up in the middle of the night, realize that you wet the bed, go to the kitchen, which I'm assuming he went to, grab a mug, which I'm assuming he did, fill it with water, which he must have had, and then just poured it on me while I was sleeping. That would have been so much easier. I wouldn't have known. I would have woken up and been like, damn, y'all, I'm sorry. I thought I was done with this. I'm killing the vibe right now. It's so much more insane to wake up, realize you wet the bed, sit across from me, wait for me to wake up, staring at me the whole time, crossing your legs, saying my full name, telling me your plan, and then throwing water on me. I don't know where DeMarvin is now. I'm assuming that he's alive and well. But I do know for a fact that someone, somewhere, is dead. My other friends had kids in like 2022, 2023 and stuff. So then their kids are like at that age where they're like over a year old. They're basically at that age where you keep still saying like months. You know what I'm talking about? Like, nobody can just say, like, 1.2. I don't know, it's just as accurate, you know what I mean? Don't make me do the math. Because anything past 12, but I know 12 months is a year, right? I know 18 months, year and a half. Once you hit me with a 27 months, I'm like... And so their baby is 16 months. 1.6. And they have a beautiful little boy, right? But it's funny, I didn't even think about this until I was hanging out at their house, you know. When it comes to our nature as people, right? We have the id, we have the ego, we have the superego, right? The id is like your lowest form. It's the impulsive part of your brain that is repulsed by pain. It's excited by pleasure, seeks it at all costs, right? The superego is your judgment. It's sort of your higher self in a way. It's how you weigh and balance some of your actions. A lot of religions attribute it to like the God in us trying to tell us what's right and wrong morally. And the ego is what mediates between the id and the superego. So then you'll have an id moment. Superego will judge it. Ego will process it, right? Id is like, I would very much like to sleep with this person. Superego is like, don't do that. That's your friend's wife. And then ego is like, but she's so hot. Didn't say this was all going to be a good person, right? But it's interesting being around babies because babies are all like cave person. They're all id. They're not weighing anything yet. It's just, I would like to do that. I'd like to not do that. They're not thinking about the bigger picture, right? There was one point where my friend sat her baby down in his little seat, right? And she laid her coffee on the counter, right? And then she had to go grab something else. And as soon as she laid the coffee down on the counter, the baby looked at the coffee. And you could tell, and I don't know why I do this, but I always give babies in my head, I always give them deep voices when they're thinking, right? Because I saw the baby look at the cup and was like, the coffee is in the cup. But what if it wasn't? And so then this baby went to knock the cup over, right? Knock the cup over and just go ahead and watch the whole spill. And I don't know how, but babies are fast and slow at the same time, right? Because so she sat the baby down, walked away. The baby looked at the cup and looked at me. I looked at the cup and looked at the baby. And I swear, as soon as I started moving to stop the baby was like, oh! As soon as we locked eyes, it became an emergency. I gotta get this cup over. I have full legs. I was running at this baby. I was running at the baby to stop him from knocking off the coffee so hard that I was scared I wouldn't stop. I was scared I was gonna take out the coffee and the baby, right? But I'm trying to make my way across the room and the baby just, oh! And right as he slapped the cup of coffee over, I got to him and I pulled him up and away from the coffee, and he was just looking at me. Like looking me in my eyes, you know? And he didn't say anything, but you could tell he was thinking, I win. I don't know if y'all saw what's happening in LA. But the archdiocese in LA just settled for $750 million with the lawsuits of everyone who had claimed abuse while they were patrons of the church. $750 million. I think $800 million when you count in some other stuff. That brings the Catholic Church's total payout to $1.5 billion. Anyone else would be closed. That's so much money. $1.5 billion that you had. You had $1 billion to pay out with. That's crazy, you know? There's no other company I could really think of that could do that much harm and be able to afford the payout. You know? You'd have to be like a gun manufacturer or something. It's so jarring, you know? I think that's what really bothers me about it. It's like there's the payout. And anytime someone has to pay, even if it hurts a little to pay, if they had the money, it feels like less justice because they had it. You know, you gotta make them pay a number that they genuinely don't know. I don't know if we can do. Good, that's exactly how much I want. You know, $1.5 billion worth of damage that you also admit you did. You know? This isn't like hush money. This is a settlement where everybody knows what happened and everybody knows how you handled it. You know? That's so jarring. And it makes you, how can that not affect your faith? You know what I mean? You went to this place. This is supposed to be the safest place in the world. This is supposed to be the place where you like lay down every burden, not pick up extra. Do you know what I mean? I don't even know where you go from here. It's beyond PR. You can't be like, but we also donate a lot to. I don't know if I want you around anybody right now. That's my thing. I don't even just care about the money. I'm glad that they had to pay, and I'm glad that, you know, survivors are getting something for all those years of trauma, all those years of therapy, all those years of like trying to navigate the world and people looking at you like it must be you. If you're dealing with something all day, it does not escape your mind, and you can't even hold down a job because the way that people are around you affects everything that you do. I'm glad that they have something something in return from that, you know, because you can't undo what's been done, right? But like, who's in jail? Is anybody in jail? We always forget that jail would be better. Do you know what I mean? I'm sure that that's what they want, but it takes so long to get justice. Half of the monsters are like dead. And then the other half are like still alive, but then there's like statute of limitations, which I don't know. I don't fully understand statute of limitations, because I understand that it's constitutional to have a fair and speedy trial, right? But we don't seem to do that either. You know what I mean? Like, if Young Thug's trial can last 75 years, why can't you be like, you too? Get over here. I know it was a long time ago. Doesn't change the fact that you did it. You know? That's what's so painful about it too. You know? Because then it affects you whether you know it or not. Whether you're, you know, like Christian, Catholic, whatever. You try to tell somebody about Jesus and they're like, oh, I've heard. Do you know what I mean? It's a burden that we all carry. It's a weight that like is inescapable. And it happened to, in a way, it happened to all of us. Obviously not in direct enough of a way that I'm like claiming some victimhood or anything, but it also, you yourself might trust this person that you find out is a monster, which then makes you question everything this person said to you. Maybe they didn't do anything to you, but they did something so horrific to someone else that you're like, how can that person that did those things be right about what happens when you die? Like, I know the two seem like they don't have anything to do with each other, but they are so directly related, because this person is basically telling you the keys to a good life, the keys to being a good person, and the keys to salvation. And then you realize that they were dangling those keys over someone else to keep their silence, right? That's too heavy, you know? I don't even know where you would go from here, because nothing that is said by anyone in the church seems to fill the void that the church has created, both between people and themselves and between the people who had harm done to them and the way to redemption. Is just so far, you know? And the people writing now, the people who write for the church, the people who are the spokespeople, the people that we see, they don't have it like that, really. Like they're like, when they say their words, it doesn't hit like the Bible hit. There's no thous that can bridge the gap that's been created, right? There's no ye's that make me feel better. You know? Because I don't know. What is the truth taught by a liar? Do you know what I mean? Even if you really believe, you believe it from the bottom of your heart, this guy, this Weinstein is going to be the guy who spreads the word? That seems short-sighted. And then how they handled it too, because they handled it like the mob would handle it. You know? They didn't look at those people, those patrons, those souls that they have a responsibility to, that they took up the responsibility to. No, I personally don't know anyone who was made to go to seminary. Everybody there is a volunteer, you know? And so you'd find out. Sometimes it was the priests themselves telling their superior, I got a problem, right? And the superior was like, we'll get you out of town. That was the move for a long time. It's why so much damage was done, you know? If your toilet is broken, you get it out the house. You don't move it to another family's house to ruin their life. Do you see what I mean? You know what I mean? And it's just, I don't know. I know I kind of like land on this thing a lot. And so maybe I'm doing the point a disservice, you know? Because a part of me hopes against hope that I don't care how it happens. I want everything that those priests were teaching to be real, right? I want it to be the truth. So that way we all know in our hearts that there's a hell. And I know that's like way more fire and brimstone. That's not like the uplifting message or anything, but I don't know. I just feel like it would be nice. It'd be nice to, finally get justice. 20 years too late, the person's passed away, and then you're like, nah, God got him. I've been watching a lot of news. Which usually, it's not great. Every once in a while, something will happen that you're like, that's okay. I'll let that slide. It'll be bad news, but it's bad news that you can live with, Like there's one particular squirrel that's been attacking a bunch of people, and it's like really getting them. It's like the news came. You know how much a squirrel has a scratch? You know how deep it has to get to be newsworthy? The news came and interviewed all these people. So far, he's got 2 victims. Both people are like, "This came right at me." But mostly is bad in a bigger way. Do you know what I mean? Okay, this is, I guess, what bothers me the most is who they interview as well. When you're watching the news, you end up watching a lot of rich people, but they won't have anything to do with what's happening, really. So why are you asking what he thinks? He does have money, yes, but he wasn't even there. That's weird. And then sometimes the news will be about them because they're rich and they're moving money around. And we've done a thing now where we've equated being rich with being important. Because obviously money has power. It can bring you influence. But then at a certain point, you have to just accept that, yes, they have money. They don't know anything else. Do you know what I mean? And I mean that from a place of we have equated having money with being really smart. You must be really smart if you got the money. Because you must be brilliant if you have lots of money. Because it's the only way you can get money. Dude, I'm just saying, that's how they teach it. They're like, man, this guy was really smart. He had all the money. I'm sure he came about it by completely legal and ethical means. But he has all this money. So he's probably really smart. We should just listen to him. And it's if that was how you got money, then yes. But it isn't. There's so many different ways to get money. Some people had an idea. They invented something. And then a lot of people were like, that's a great idea. We're glad you invented that. And then they buy so much of it that now this person is rich. Or you write a book. You write a book. You write a book and everyone likes the book, and then you put the book out, and then the book is $20, but then millions of people like it, which is millions of 20s. Even after taxes, that's still millions of 20s. So now you're rich, but you wrote a book. You don't know about anything but the book you wrote. But somehow, every time we watch them in the news, we watch them in culture, we're listening to them for an opinion that is not the thing that got them rich. Do you know what I mean? And that's something that feels crazier by the day, because crazier and crazier people keep getting rich. Do you know what I mean? Here's the thing. Okay, someone like a William Randolph Hearst, right? Someone who's old rich, black and white rich. Remember that? Just in the no color pictures of them rich. You know what I'm talking about? You can't find a single color picture. If there's them in color, that's AI, because they were before color. So then people who were rich before colors came out, I will extend the olive branch to them that maybe they knew more stuff because they had to know a wide range of things, and there was also less stuff to know in a way. Internet hadn't been invented yet. You could go to the library, but they had whole Dewey Decimal systems that really just sometimes slowed you down instead of helped you, because then you're like, why am I going by 3.5 instead of just tell me the title? And then they also couldn't look it up like regular, so you had to use the system. They couldn't be like, oh, it's right over there, because the computer said, because computers weren't out yet, and you didn't have color. So life was harder. And so I think someone who was very well-rounded and got into business and had a bunch of different businesses could be very smart, could be someone who could answer questions outside just their field, right? Present day, just present day is harder. It's harder to be smart about everything because everyone has access to almost everything. It also depends on how you made your money. Did you make your money from inventing something? Did you write a book? Did you start a company? And then the company was really successful. So successful, you could buy another company. And then now you have like 3 subsidiary companies under you. They're all doing well. Your big company's doing well. You're very successful. You know what to do when it comes to business. That doesn't mean you know anything about, like, I don't know, the environment. But maybe you made your money millions, maybe even a couple billion, from buying with some starter money, some funding from people. You bought like a pharmaceutical company, and this pharmaceutical company didn't really do anything, and none of the drugs really worked, but you told everybody that they did. You told everybody that they did. You told everybody in a level that kind of made you like a snake oil salesman, like, oh, it's gonna come out soon and it's gonna fix everything. And then people were like, it's gonna fix everything? That's crazy. Almost nobody ever says that, because that's pretty illegal to like tell people something's going to do something. That's fraud. So for you to be like doing fraud on the news with your full chest, your company must really do that. And so then you get more investors, you keep doing rounds of, investing, you build up the company, and then it gets to the point where you're like ready to go public with nothing really. You don't even really have a company, and the drugs don't work. But you could either go public and then try to sell the company, you just try to sell the company outright, and then now you get to leave with the money you made from the company that somebody else bought. You scammed. You were scamming. And some people are very good at scamming. Some people are very smart scammers. Like when you watch the documentary later about their scam, you're like, wow. Wow, incredible. Good scamming. It wasn't my money. Delicious. So some people have scammed their way into millions or billions of dollars. Some people have earned it in the way that you can earn it through creating something that people in the market want. So then that builds the money up. And some people just come from money. Some people already had money, but you just didn't know who they were because like their parents had sense enough not to try to be famous. So then they passed them a whole bunch of money, and then they showed up one day and they were like, I'm money. And then it's like, oh, okay, did he make all that money to just have money out of nowhere like that? It's like, no, he's actually really rich. And then you get what we have, like I had a friend who was talking to me about Elon and was saying he's like this like super genius. He's like this super nerd genius. And I was like, oh, what makes you say that? Like what, like why would you say that or something like it? Like what makes you think? Like, what makes you think he's a super genius? I'm just curious, right? I wasn't even hating. I was just genuinely like, what makes you say that? And he's like, just, like Tesla and everything that he's trying to do with Mars and stuff. And I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, plenty of people try to go to Mars. And that's actually pretty common. I know plenty of people who smoke up on a Friday thinking they can make it to Mars. And some of them go. Some of them have been there. I have been in rooms with people so high out of their mind that you're like, you at least at Venus. There is no way. You stopped it. Okay. All right. Oh, just trying. And trying is important. Everyone, look, if you have a dream, you should try. I want that for everybody. But trying isn't doing. He's not doing Mars. He's trying to go to Mars. He's trying to go to Mars. Also, Tesla, I'm pretty sure he bought that company, so he's smart enough to buy. He's smart enough to, like, use his money to buy something. I don't know if that makes you a super genius. So you can only equate like money with with wisdom or being intellectual for so long before the bill sort of comes due. If you're so smart, what are you going to do with it? If the answer is just make more money, then like we don't need you. You know what I mean? And I say this, I say this because I was watching, I was watching the news and I don't even know why this was the B-roll that the news used, but it was a yacht and I got mad. And I need to be clear here, I didn't get mad because it was like someone had a yacht and I want a yacht. I've joked about wanting a yacht, I don't want a yacht. What would I do with a yacht? Like what would I even do? You know what I mean? I'm not mad that they had a yacht. I'm mad at the yacht. Do you know what I mean? Look, I don't care if you're rich and then you bought a yacht. I care that the yacht was dumb. This is a dumb yacht. This was, I think it was like $50 million, something like that, but it's a $50 million already. $50 million on a boat. That's like technically not a boat, it's a yacht, but it's a boat. It still does boat. It's a boat. You just don't even, it's a boat. You need to be in water for it to do its job. It's a boat and a $50 million. And then the boat had a pool. The yacht had a pool. So you basically spent $50 million on a bucket. It's a bucket. It's a bucket in the water. That's crazy. That's so dumb. That's why you shouldn't have the money. It's not even for like I wish I was coming to you for like a moral reason of like, I can't believe it. I can't believe someone would spend $50 million on a yacht while there are people starving in their country. I'm not even trying to appeal to like your morality or anything. I'm saying that if you spend $50 million on a boat with a pool in it, you're in the water. You're in the water. The water's here. You're surrounded by water, and you're like, no, but I don't want that water. That's why you should have nothing. Actually, that's why I hope for nothing for you, because to need a pool, you're in the water. If you fell overboard, you'd be able to swim. You want to go for a swim? Just tip over. You'll be swimming. And instead, you had a pool put on a boat. You had a pool installed on a boat. You had different water in your boat with the water surrounded. That is I don't want to get up to get the remote level of lazy to swim. I could fall overboard and swim and maybe drown, or I could have a pool. I could have a pool and swim in that and maybe drown and maybe and maybe you will and maybe I hope you do. Like it's a pool on a boat. Sounds like a riddle. Why would you? Then did swimming in it. Swimming in it. Swimming in it just to get out and be like, oh, I think I'm gonna go look at the water. A yacht with an infinity pool on it. A yacht with an infinity pool. You know what else is an infinity pool? You know the original infinity pool? You know the first infinity pool? It was a pool so big, people thought there was an edge and you would fall off. That's how big the actual infinity pool was that you're in right now, but you want it your own. And then on the yacht, this thing will be like $50 million. And then they'll give you a little tour of the yacht. I've watched a tour of a yacht before because sometimes I hate watch things. Because sometimes I have a lot of like hate in my heart, and you would think the only way to get hate out is with love, but sometimes it is with an overwhelming portion of hate. Like when you actually indulge in the hate, and then you have so much hate that it is spilling out of you, and then you look at all the hate on the floor and you're like, that was too much. Let me not do that again. But for the level of hate that I had, I did watch a whole like Lifestyles of Rich and Famous type thing. Let me tour my yacht, right? And so the whole time they were touring the yacht, he was showing me basically an apartment, which is kind of cool. But it's only cool because it's a yacht. If we were on land, you'd be like, oh, you're middle class. Like that's what's so insane about a yacht is that it's like you get a tour of the yacht, and already there are things that, like, just to be on the yacht make you uncomfortable. So they'll have like 3 tiers, right? And they'll be walking around the boat, and you see even the cameraman trying to follow the rich person trying to tour the yacht. There's not enough room between the rail and the side of the first floor apartment for you to really walk. So now he's over here being like, we got this one in 2015. Cameraman's trying not to fall overboard, and then he takes you inside and he's like, here's the bed, and the bed is like, fine. It's a bed. It's a bed. A bed. It's not mind-blowing. It's not even $50 million worth of bed. It's just a bed with some floor next to it. So far, my mind isn't blown. Nobody's floating. Nobody's like floating in midair and making it look like a experience worth $50 million. And then, they go up to the next level and they're like, oh, and we have a kitchen here. And it's like, the kitchen isn't a kitchen. It's like a kitchenette. Just like as someone who has lived in Brooklyn for a long time, this is my apartment. Maybe that's also why I'm upset. You put my apartment on a boat and then paid $50 million for it, and we're supposed to think that you're smart. No. Why? No, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's also like you're giving yourself away. You already are willing to buy a $50 million yacht while there are people struggling in every country in the world. It really doesn't matter where you're from. And I'm not even telling you what to do with your money. I'm just saying, just know that about yourself, that you're willing to buy a $50 million yacht and show it off as people are struggling in your country, whoever you are, whatever country this is. If you know, right? But then to be like, oh no, I'm just going to be in international waters for like a kitchenette amount of time. All right, that sounds like crime. That sounds like... You kind of admitted to me that whatever you plan to do something illegal. You're like, no, I'm gonna need a lot of supplies and a kitchenette. And I don't even know why I got mad about this, but they had a shower, but the shower wasn't like a shower. It wasn't, you know what I mean? Like, you've been in a nice hotel room with a shower, and you've been like, oh, this is great. And you could, the shower looked a little like prison. You know what I mean? Like, I've never been to prison, but I've watched some documentaries. And the shower, just like, because they were trying to make it sound like it had all these features. They were like, you can get the waterfall. There's also, a spout that shoots this way, and then you have the one that's like mounted into the wall that just shoots across. And I'm like, okay, if you say so. But in the world of showers, I've taken a lot of showers in my life, right, every day, and the shower shooting across either screams high school gym or prison. Like, it's... The shower shooting across... Just a perpendicular shower is not luxury. Floor to ceiling glass. And glass as the floor and glass as the ceiling. So you can look down. So you can look down and be like, look at all the fish. Look at all the... What a mind-breaking... Look at all the fish. that are passing by. It's like an aquarium. It's like my aquarium. I guess the world is like my aquarium. It's like, no, you're in the aquarium, you idiot. You're the one. You're actually the one that's boxed in. You moron. You're the one that's in the glass. How does that appeal to you? You're the glass. Like, you're the fish. You're the fish. You are the fish. The fish are swimming by like, what is... Oh, wow, I didn't know we got a zoo. I had no idea that we had a zoo. You're the fish. That's crazy. Just for the glass. All glass. And the fish swimming by, wondering, wow, even the fish are like, this is what you do with $50 million. Okay. All right. I mean, live your life, you know. And I think that's also why I got so mad, is because it's like, you bought this $50 million yacht and you're not just greedy, you wasted it. Do you know what I mean? You're going to spend $50 million, impress me. You know, make me go, wow, yeah, that's definitely better than feeding people. See what I mean? It's $50 million. You should be able to get some dope stuff for $15 million and not just have a Brooklyn apartment on water that's shaped like a bucket. You know what I mean? It's just wasted $50 million. All right. I'll let it go. I'll let it go. I'll let it go. I was angry enough about it, and I just needed to let it out. But it's like, at $50 million, like, just the land. You could buy acres of land. You could own a forest. You could own a forest and everything in it. You could go to a forest that you bought with your millions of dollars and walk right up to Bambi and be like, I own you now. Like, that's... You could do that, and instead you're like, no, it's nice to almost drown in a boat. That happened one time. There was a guy who had a yacht, and he had a pool in his yacht, and I don't know if he got like caught cramp or something, but he did like drown in his pool in his yacht. And I read about that, and I was like, and it's probably not a good response to have. That's not nice at all. You shouldn't do that. You shouldn't do what I did. But the laugh escaped. It wasn't like, I wasn't reading being like, ooh, I hope I see that. I was just reading, and then it was like, oh, and oh, okay. Wow. Because it's just, it happened, I think, because we became so genuinely obsessed with money. Like, you know, the U.S., America, we start out as a sort of land of opportunity. People would come here for a fresh start. Usually it was like a fresh start. It wasn't actually like this land. We have like a money-hungry revisionist history of why people came here. There were people that came here because of religious persecution and for like a fresh start. Because you could get off a boat and just tell them your name was Larry, and they'd be like, all right, and then they'd write it down. There was no, you know what I mean? Like, I don't even know if you get that in human history ever again, to just show up and be like, no, I'm Dave. I don't even know who you're. That's how we got like murderers. Like, there was a whole theory that like Jack the Ripper may have come to the U.S. That's how fresh of a start you could get. You could flee London after some of the most horrific crimes known to man, show up at Ellis Island, and even say, yeah, I'm Jack. Like, just, you could even tell them that, and they'd be like, all right, good to go. Mr. Rapar? And people would do their best, and people would try to build themselves up in spite of all different types of persecution, because that was a time in America where like white wasn't even white yet. That is crazy, right? White was not, if you were Irish, it was like, you're what? You know what I mean? Like, it was, like, I've been reading about it in history. Italian, you would be Italian, they'd be like, oh. I don't even know who was white. Looking back at it, it's like, I guess if you were British, But then if you were too British, they were like, I don't think you're loyal to this country. You accent all thick. Just hate. Everybody was hating everybody. Everybody had to build up as best as they could that came here, especially people who came here with nothing, and then they built themselves. And look, this is where we really started to go awry, on top of already like having slavery and stuff like that. We started to build a system where as long as there was someone beneath me, I was like, I'm fine. It started to become more about who's under you than you even doing well for yourself. It's the thing you see echo today, where there are people who are not doing well, but as long as this person's doing worse, then they're fine, you know? And as you build up, as you have more and more money, as you can pass down more and more money to your kids and everything, as you can one day be so rich that you pass down the money, and then you pass away, and then your kid shows up at the news one day to be like, I'm money. Like that, like that kind of turned into what the American dream was. It went from like land of opportunity, get a little slice of this place for yourself, really build something, be able to take care of yourself and your family. And it became like, are you rich? People wanted to be rich so bad that we looked at anybody who was rich as wise, that we need to do whatever it is they're doing to get where they are, because I want to be where they are. Never mind their sort of moral character, never mind how they treat people, or even how they got that money. They have $100 million. I want $100 million. I'll do whatever they tell me to do. The type of person that was willing to tell the masses how to get $100 million was not actually telling them that. They were like telling them how to give me $200 million. And I think it doesn't become apparent how crazy that level of wealth is always, because we're used to these people as characters, right? So like you're used to like a Zuckerberg as an idea of a person, because he is an idea of a person. You know what I mean? Like no, look, I'm saying that he is his idea of a person. Like you could. This isn't coming out right. I'm saying that he is doing a perfectly fine first impression of a person. I'm saying, I want you to hear me when I say this. I'm saying that, you know how when your 4-year-old draws you, that's what he's doing as a person. Like he is, as a person, Mark Zuckerberg is being like, hello. That's what people say, right? Hello. And so he has, over $100 billion. And I think we can fathom that money, but we can't. Even when you try to count it, even when people make charts and they're like, guys, a billionaire doesn't even fit on the chart, right? You'll still see someone who is incredibly wealthy, and they only have we know them from being rich, and they only have $500 million. Like that's how crazy it is. It's like they're halfway to 1/100th of where Zuckerberg is. I think that's why I get so frustrated when I see the news, because you're watching the news and you're watching someone like Zuckerberg be on the news, and you're like, why? What could he possibly have to say that should be on the news? And here we're clearly stations are on sides, networks are on sides, right? But no matter what side, they can't just be like, this should never happen. And that's because we let rich people buy up all the news. So now a rich person owns the news. And so even if a journalist, someone who went to school to be a journalist, and someone who would like to tell people the truth as they find it out, they would like to do what they do in France, where in France they're like, this is the news in French. And then they want to do that, but in English for us. And then someone comes up to them right before they go live on air, and they're like, oh, don't say it's bad though, just say it's happening. You know? And so you see Zuckerberg have this huge, huge data center that's gonna decimate everything around it, and why? Like truly why? I don't think we know. We're watching these people, we're watching 5 companies basically prop up the S&P 500. S&P 500 is made of, I think, 500 companies. Like, make no mistake, without those 5 companies, the market would be correcting. It would be wherever it is supposed to be because of how the other companies are doing, which is how most companies are doing, which means it's how most of America is doing. But we've propped it up with these 5 companies. These 5 companies have gone all in on AI, and they've gone all in on AI in a way that functionally does not make sense. You know, you look at Sam Altman, another candidate for person. You know what I mean? Like Sam Altman only looks confused when you ask him a moral question. No, it's crazy. It's crazy. There's a look. All right, I shouldn't even really talk about this, but it was wild. I watched like Tucker Carlson interview Sam Altman, and Tucker Carlson kind of implied, he was like, hey, there was that OpenAI whistleblower who basically said that y'all were violating copyright law and like stealing a bunch of information and everything, and then he died mysteriously. What do you think about that? It's weird to watch Tucker Carlson unleashed on somebody you hate. Like, it's... It's like when the bulldog that you've been scared of in your neighborhood your whole life finally bites your bully. You're kind of like... They seem to be canceling each other out right now. I guess if he was gonna bite anybody, it's good that it's him. And you see Sam Altman like clam up. Here's the thing. I'm not... Can I be 100% with y'all? Can I be really honest with y'all? I am not saying at all that Sam Altman had anything to do with that young man's death. I am saying that interview didn't not make it look like it, though. Like that. I try my best not to judge people because sometimes I don't even know what I'm gonna react like or do next in a certain scenario, right? And I think too often what we do to people is we say, I know they did this thing because of this thing, right? But all I'm saying is when you watch the interview, here's the thing. If I didn't like someone, right? I would be like, what? What kind of accusations? What are you trying to say? What are you... He asks him, and Sam is like, better start saying words soon. I'm just, one of two things needs to happen in the next millisecond. Either you need to start saying, profusely that you had nothing to do with this and everything, like you need to really stake your claim that like you had nothing to do with this and you're maybe even very upset by the line of questioning or something. Or if you are a robot, now would be a good time for your face to like open up like Men in Black style and have like a little alien be like, how dare you, right? Like that would be great. Because this, you know what I mean? Like, you didn't get caught cheating. This is asking you about murder, right? No, no, none of that. Just a lot of like, it was very sad, and we, actually no. I was, I don't even know how to react because I've never been accused. And then Tucker quickly goes, "I'm not accusing you of anything." You know how Tucker be like, "I'm not, hey." Tucker act like he on a roller coaster at his own interview. What? What? No, I'm not. That's concerning, right? Yeah, someone could beg the question, right? I was, I, and then, look, to be fair, I didn't watch the entire interview. Maybe he came out with a very convincing answer 20 minutes later. But the substantial portion that I watched didn't look great. And I don't know. We have, OpenAI with Sora, with ChatGPT. We have these large language models that are basically meant to take us to like the next level. And it doesn't seem like they're doing that. It just doesn't seem to be the case that it's taking us to what was promised, right? We were promised almost a higher consciousness. We were promised to be able to do our jobs with ease. And then in the backdoor deals, companies were promised that they'd be able to fire all of us. You know what I mean? There were always two simultaneous pitches. One, the pitch to us was like, this is going to improve your life. It's going to make you more efficient. It's going to be faster. It's going to get rid of menial tasks. The pitch to our bosses was like, he'll be out of here in like 3 months. And so far, AI is failing on both those fronts. Because we aren't elevated to some new form of consciousness. If anything, AI is giving people psychosis. Plenty of people have AI psychosis and becoming like more normal quicker than people are realizing it's happening. And here's a good test of the psychosis, right? If they talk to the AI like a friend, that's it. Did they name it? Is it called ChatGPT, but they called it Clarence? Then yes. Yes, they're in it now. If you're here and you're like, don't talk about Jan like that, you need to break loose. I pray for healing in your life, that you can break the psychosis. Because these large language models, they are imitations of what it would be like to connect with a person. It's not connecting with a person. It's doing an imitation of a person. And it's doing a better imitation of a person than we've seen so far. Even Zuckerberg can't touch the level of imitation of a person. This is why people think they're talking to a friend. And the understanding is that AI is going to destroy the planet. It needs so much energy to make a video of Pikachu pulling a cop over. The actual model, like you look at Sora, right? Because they just released Sora, and it can do all these things. It can like make Martin Luther King rap or whatever. Like it can do all of these like very weird things that nobody asked for. And apparently, every single one of those things costs OpenAI $5 to make. So like when people are just playing around on the thing and they're just like, look, I made Bob Ross high five Gandhi, $5. All right? So they are burning through money we don't have a sustainable system for the energy. So why keep doing this thing? The theory is that they are doing it because they believe that when they get there, this thing will essentially be some sort of like all-knowing, all-understanding, thinking further, thinking light years ahead of us. It'll basically be God, right? And if they could like own God, then maybe they will be like a God, right? Because you'll basically have the company. You'll have the company that tells you every move to make in the market to own other companies, every move to make to protect yourself from other companies that are come after you. You would be done. You would be, you know what I mean? And that's that's terrifying. That's a terrifying idea that not only that someone would want that, but that they would barrel towards it at the risk of burning up the planet, of taking up all of the water, of it, like it's an insatiable need for like power, for control, for influence. And then you watch the news and you see that these same people, these people that don't even know how to act like people, spend millions of dollars on a yacht that is basically a bucket. It's a bucket. It is. That's how you know they don't know anything. This is what you spent the money on? Knucklehead?
I'm just not as strong as I'd like to be. You know what I mean? Like, there have definitely been things that needed to be picked up. How about this? Very few people in my life have ever asked me to help them move. That's how you know you come off a little anemic to your friends. You know what I mean? Because I actually have anemia. But like my thing is, if you're in the throes of like being your absolute strong, maybe I've watched too many movies, but I've just wanted to have like one period in my life where like I walk past stuff and I think about picking it up without the injury that might occur. You know what I mean? There have been people, okay, as an example, I try to be helpful, right? And I was in New York and I was I was on a subway and I was getting up the stairs. I had already got off the train, right? And on the second, there were 3 rows of stairs, right? And on the second row of stairs was a young mom who had a stroller with a baby in it, right? So then I'm like, okay, she already got up the first one. I'm not just going to assume that she needs help. But the fact that she's doing it by herself and the stroller is hitting every step, she's shaking the baby. Like that's undeniable. Just bow, 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 right? And so then I'm walking up and she looks like she's really contemplating how to do the second and third set of stairs because I think she must also felt like that was a lot of shaking, right? And so then I walk up and I'm like, hey, would you like a little help up? And then she was like, oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. And then I actually go down a couple stairs, you know, so I can like protect my back, lift with my legs and everything, and keep the baby at the right trajectory because now the baby's still going to be at an angle. He's not going to be like this and then... So then I grab the bottom of the stroller and I go to pick it up and I put in the effort, but the baby doesn't move. And I cannot tell if the stroller is made of titanium or if this baby is secretly 12. Like, because this is what's so embarrassing about what's happening right now. Is that I have 2 people, one of which doesn't have object permanence yet, but 2 people who know exactly what's going on. They know that I've now offered to help and I cannot help. Because as I'm really, like, did you ever see The Sword and the Stone? It was... Because my hams and my quads are wiggling. And so I've got the wiggle going. So I know I'm putting in the effort, right? And I even readjusted and put my foot on a different step Because I was like, that's a bad step. I don't like that step. That's what it is. That step was too low. It wasn't doing my legs any justice. Let me get up another step. So then I put, but this is a worse position to be in, right? So now I'm lower, and now I'm wiggling. But the thing, okay, so I'm wiggling so hard, and then I look up a little bit, and the baby is like. And I never thought that being judged by a baby would help me access more glute use than I ever thought possible. Because then I look up and the mom is also like, and so then I look past them because they are not helping me right now. And I finally lift it up a little bit. And I get maybe knee height, right? Which this is not comfortable to go upstairs with weight, okay? But I start pushing, and I get up one step, and get up another step. And I cannot believe that this mom did this by herself, because I'm like, this is with help. And so sure enough, climbing up, and maybe a quarter of the way on the second set of steps, I start to feel a pain. I shouldn't say a pain. I start to feel three pains. One was in my back, one was in my quad, and one was in my hamstring. And other people are passing us, because I wasn't the only one that got off the subway. And as we're passing by, this other guy was passing by, much bigger dude, but he was like, "Do y'all need help?" Which is devastating. You ever been a good Samaritan and needed a good Samaritan? It was terrible. So then I'm turning to him to be like, I'm about to answer, and then the mom is like, "Yes." And so then this dude with one hand moves my hand and starts to take up some of the slack, right? And in my head, I'm like, all right, it's going to be the three of us together. And okay, all right. So this dude moves this hand with this hand, moves it out of the way. And so now I'm just pinching both my hands on this other part. But he really is keeping it level in a way that's devastating. And then he was like, it brightens my day to help out a young, beautiful couple like y'all. Which means that as he was walking up the steps and got level with me, he was sure I couldn't carry my own son. And so I'm holding this one, and he's holding this one with one hand, right? Other hand in his pocket. He chilling. And then almost immediately, this young mom says, "Oh, we're not together." And in my head, I'm like, you couldn't fake. You couldn't save me the embarrassment for 17 more steps. We don't know this man. I don't know you. We're not together. And so then he goes, "Ooh, oh, okay. Well, we all try to make things work the best way possible." Now he thinks I am an absent father. that isn't able to carry my own son. And so then she's like, no, I don't know him. I was like, you really had to throw me under the bus right now. You couldn't just pretend to know me for 15 more steps. And then he goes, oh. And now he knows that I'm a stranger that can't pick up his not son. And I try to help people and everything, but this is too embarrassing. So after about the fourth step, I was like, hey, I'm late. Do you think you could? And then he was like, oh yeah. And then he, both hands, and I walked up the stairs by myself and then ran. When I got to the top, I did not want to be seen again. That was terrible. How are you gonna, we not together? No, I don't know him. How are you? I was trying to be helpful. But I was hurt, like my pride was hurt. And so then I went home and got online and Googled the weight of that stroller. Because I was like, this thing has got to be like at least 100 pounds or something. Try and make myself feel better. Turns out it was all baby. That stroller is 8 pounds. I'm surprised it was holding the kid up. I was watching the news because at first I saw it on the news and then it spilled over to social, so I was watching a lot of it. I saw where Tyreek Hill got stopped by the police, right? And I don't think he got arrested. I mean, he got detained for a bit, but he still made it to the game and did quite well. But the whole thing was pretty wild, and I made sure to watch like everything that got released, like the full body cam footage and everything, because I saw just so many people arguing about it online, right? And in case you didn't see it, basically Tyreek Hill, who's a football player, right? He is he's driving and gets pulled over, right? And anytime I'm on Twitter and I see like a video of a black dude getting pulled over, I'm like, well, it was a good day. I don't know what I'm about to see. And so, you know, you see the body cam footage of the cop walking up after they pulled him over to Tyreek's window. And Tyreek is sitting there in the car and everything, and then the cop knocks on the window, and then Tyreek lowers his window, looks at the cop and goes, "Don't knock on my window like that," and then rolls the window back up. And as an African American audience member, I was like, uh-oh. And you can tell, even the cop, you can't see his face because it's his body cam, but you can tell he's like, what? What just happened? So then he knocks on the window again, and he's like, yo, keep the window down. And he's like, don't knock on my window like that, right? Don't knock on my window like that. And they just go back and forth. He's like, keep the window down. Don't knock on my window like that. Keep the window down. Don't knock on my window like that. Now, to be fair, by now the window is just down. Like he's just... It's kind of like one of those things where you arguing with somebody, but they are doing the thing you asked them to do, but you still mad. So then you're like, and keep doing it. You just don't know what to say next. You're like, and stay doing it. And so then, you know, he hands him his his license and registration, and then he rolls the window back up. And like, look. Look. Rolling the window up on anybody. I've never seen a respectful rolling of the window up, right? Like when I've been out and I've been in situations and I roll the window up, it's very clear what I mean, right? I remember one time I was with my friend Mike in Chicago, and he was giving me a ride home from a show, and there was this one dude that was in the street, middle of the street, and we had a pretty clear, we were in Chicago, and so we're going down like that Argyle area and everything, and we have a pretty clear street because it's so late at night, right? And it's it's like maybe 2:30 in the morning because I had a late show and I stayed to talk with people and stuff like that. And Mike is giving me this ride back, and we've got the windows down and everything. But then we're at a red light, and we see a red light away this guy who's been in the street, and we could tell from the distance, is just running in the street, no shirt on, everything. And then Mike just goes, let me roll up my window because this nigga is making me nervous. Rolling up the window is not both like a power move. Sometimes it's also a move of like, I really don't want to look at you right now. And so the cop knocks on the window again. He's like, hey, keep the window down. And then Tyreek is like, yo, just give me my ticket so I can go, right? And as an African-American audience member, I was like, oh. And so then God tells him one more time, he's like, yo, keep the window down before I take you out of the car. Matter of fact, get out of the car, right? So he just immediately decides like, no, open the door before I break the window, open the door, right? And so then Tyreek is like, okay, damn, all right. So he unlocks the door, and then they pull the door open and they start pulling Tyreek out. He's like, okay, I'm getting down, damn, right? And now they're pushing him down and everything. And he's like, hey, careful. I just had surgery on my knee. And they're telling him. And then the guy, the same cop as before, is like, oh, that's convenient. You didn't have surgery on your knee in the car when you couldn't keep the window up. And I was like, that's not how knees work. And so they got Tyreek down flat on the ground. I can't remember if they handcuffed him or they zip tied him or they just had him with his hands right here. And you got to keep in mind that this is all for like some speeding. Like if you're speeding and they catch you, they just arrest you because you're speeding that much, Like if you're going the speed of the temperature in Arizona, you're just... You're just going to jail. But all of this happens, speeding a little bit, right? And then, it's on the ground, hands down, everything. He's trying to call someone to let them know that he's going to be late, which is courteous. And then, I don't know when in the sequence this happened, because then this is from a different angle, but I watched something that was fully put together, right? So I don't know if this one was on police body cam, but this was just like a part of the footage. And then, Tyreek said something along the lines of like, yeah, another black man trying to drive in America, right? And then the same cop as before says like, oh, I'm Cuban, don't play that shit with me, right? Which... isn't quite like, I see where he was trying to get, but no, the 2 points kind of miss each other, right? And then there was another player who had stopped his car and got out just to see what was happening because he saw Tyreek's car, Tyreek on the ground and everything. And so then he's trying to call somebody, and Tyreek is telling him, like, yo, call whoever. I don't know if it's like the GM or I don't know who he wants him to call, but he keeps saying the same name. So then that guy goes, okay. But then the cop sees that guy and goes, yo, you can't stop there. Get back in your car. You can't stop there. Get back in your car right now. He's like, okay, I'm getting back in my car. I was just trying to see what's happening. Don't worry about what's happening. Get back in your car right now. Drive off, right? And he's like, okay, and even as he's moving towards his car, the cop was like, you know what? You too. And then takes him. And it did get to the point where I was like, are they going to arrest the city? Because I'm not going to lie. When you drive by, you get curious. You're like, maybe you're in your car and you drive by a little slow. You're like, is that Tyreek Hill? And the cop's like, you can get some too. Like, But it just got me to thinking, like, wow, all of this. And our expectation, the fact that we expected it to be worse than it was, Because I want to be clear about something. Tyreek Hill was, if you watch the tape, he was being an asshole because he thought he could get away with it, right? He thought he had enough money. He thought he had enough, like, access or proximity to maybe how his white friends move, that he thought he could be an asshole and get away with it. And I want to be clear, the cops in that situation were also being assholes because they thought they could get away with it. But only one of those two parties was at work. Do you know what I mean? Everybody has a bad day. Everybody can't be perfect, and some people are assholes through and through, right? But being an asshole isn't illegal. One of those parties has a gun, has the ability to kill, has the power to move people where they want them to go, And it's a terrifying thing because my thing is like, take race out of it for a second, right? The way that the police are allowed to move is what creates the expectation. It just happens to get to a certain place with black people more often than not. But it's the way that we're all policing, the thing that we all allow as long as it's happening to somebody else that keeps the system intact. And so I've watched the police do all manner of things in different videos to different people, right? But there's a certain place we let it get to in our minds where we just accept that, like, oh man, you disrespected a cop, you about to get your ass beat. Why is that? Do you know what I mean? Why is that? Because I'm not trying to make it as if race isn't an actual issue in it. It's like inextricably linked to it. But at the same time, trust me when I say anybody can get it. I've watched so many videos of people, kids, and it's because of the way that we let police move, and also what we ask police to do, right? There should just be a scanner. If you're speeding, we'll catch you. And I don't have to talk to the dude with the gun. That would be nice. That would be so much better to just, I was speeding, you got me, that's my bad, I was speeding, and now I don't get tapped on the window by a dude that I know is armed that's not having a great day. Because I've even watched, like you wouldn't believe, I've watched my white friends move around the police in a way that I could never imagine, right? But I've also watched them. There's a weird leveling off that happens when it comes to policing, where sometimes white people get loud or get violent with the police, and the police go, I'm white too, so like, let's nix that now. You gotta get your ass beat today. And I've also seen black police tuning up black kids, right? But it's also the expectation that we have of police and the way that we allow them to move that like leads to situations like this. You know what I mean? It's terrifying to be pulled over by the police just in in my view, as a black person, not even because I'm like, man, this cop's definitely going to be racist. It's more just what can happen and what they can get away with that's terrifying. And I know that we're not all feeling the same way, but in my opinion, we should all be terrified. Because everything's well and good until it happens to you. And trust me when I tell you it can happen to you. In college, I had a friend who was getting a little drunk, right? He was pretty drunk. And, he got loud with a cop. And I was trying to, dissuade him. But I was doing it from a distance, like a coach. You know what I mean? Like I was... I was like, hey, I know you white, but you're going to get tased. I'm telling you. The way you moving right now is taser behavior, okay? That white skin can only protect you for so long. You about to get that ass beat, I'm telling you. I've seen too many videos of people doing what you do, and they never end well. And they didn't tase them, but let's just say I did eventually have to yell out, I'll see you back at the door. I don't want these problems.
I've been so fascinated by what has turned out to be Women's Week in Space. Could not have seen this coming. Truly could not have seen this coming. Okay, so basically, just to bring you up to speed in case you are just like living your life or whatever. There was a Blue Origin, they went up. I don't know what to call it. Because some people get offended when you call it a trip, but then other people get offended when you call it a mission. So it was a flight. It was a flight to space. So on this flight to space, on this Blue Origin flight to space, you had Carrie Ann Flynn, who's a film producer. You had Lauren Sanchez, who is Bezos' fiance. You had Aisha Bowe. I think that's how you pronounce her name. And she's an actual like aerospace engineer. And then you had Amanda Wynn, who is a bioastronautics researcher, which when I saw the words together, I was like, every once in a while you'll see somebody who has a job or a field of study that makes you feel dumber than is fair. Do you know what I mean? Because you'll just be living your life and then they'll be like, I'm a bioastronautics researcher. And it's like, all right, is that Iron Man? I don't know. She went to Harvard, so you had Carrie Ann Flynn, you had Lauren Sanchez, you had Aisha Bowe, you had Amanda Wynn, you also had Gayle King, and then you had Katy Perry. You had this set of individuals come together to go up in space. So here's what happened. Basically, they went on this Blue Origin flight. Now, Blue Origin is owned by Bezos, and it is like space tourism, pretty much, where they will send you up there, you'll fly up there, and you'll look around, and then they drop you. But it's like completely safe. And there was a bell. I don't know what the point of the bell was, but there was a bell that they rang before they got in. And ringing the bell was how you could tell that Gayle King didn't really want to go at first. Like that, like... That was tough. In case you didn't see it, I think Aisha had just rung the bell. She was all happy. She was like, yeah, gets into the little craft, and then Gayle's walking up behind her, and she goes, I've only seen that face one other time, and It was when my mom was trying to teach me how to drive. I love my mom, and I know my mom loves me, and I know that my mom, but she believes in me sometimes too much, you know? Like my mom would say the stuff that parents are like quote unquote supposed to say when you're a little kid. You can do anything you put your mind to. Oh, you know, you may not get it now, but if you work harder, you're smart enough to figure it out. All of the positive affirmations you're supposed to give a kid to get them to accomplish something down the line, something difficult, right? Something that may seem nearly impossible. And I really believed my mom when she told me these things. When my mom told me, oh, look, you may not be the fastest, the strongest, you may not be able to grasp something right away, but if you put your mind to it, if you put your mind to it and you read that sentence over and over and over again, eventually you'll get it. And then if you keep doing that with the whole book, you'll understand it. You know, it's just, my mom was, always imparting on me that enough attention and hard work could get you to the places that talent got other people easily, you know? And these are important lessons. I look back at the things that my mom said, and not only are they true, but I wish more people heard them, because sometimes when you just pump somebody up too much initially, you give them a false belief that they'll just get it or it'll just come to them, and then when it doesn't, they're more likely to give up, right? Whereas if they're told off top, you're not that good at this, they'll know that there's something to work towards, and that the thing is possible, that everyone who ever accomplished anything wasn't already good at it. It took work, it took perseverance and everything. And I believed my mom when she told me all these things until it was time for her to teach me to drive. Because when we got in the car, my mom was making a face that didn't exactly say, you can do anything you put your mind to. You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, like if I could do anything I put my mind to, I'm putting my mind to driving, and then you get in the car with me, you sit in the passenger seat, and you going. I'm starting to think that there's more to this whole thing, you know. And so Gail walked up. They all get in the craft and they all pop off. They all get in the... It was shaped weird. But I'm not an astronaut. I'm not a physicist, I'm not a scientist, so I will be using the wrong terminology a lot. Be patient with me. But this rocket craft, this... It wasn't because a ship feels substantial. You know what I mean? Like the Death Star feel like a ship. This feel like the tip of a rocket. Feel like they got in the tip of the rocket. And so then they in the tip, and they leave, right? And so they but up, you know what I mean? Like they driving but up, right? And so they shoot right up into the sky, and they're gone, right? And I thought when I heard about it initially, I thought, oh wow, they're gonna be gone. I didn't know anything about Blue Origin. I didn't know anything about the flight, so I thought they'd be gone for maybe, who knows, like a week or something. Like I thought it was gonna be. I was like, man, Gail gonna miss some, you know, Gail King's on the morning news. She gonna miss a couple of days. You know, like Katy Perry's got a whole tour that she's starting off, like, and I'm sure that, you know, Aisha, like I'm sure the people with like jobs I can't pronounce also have somewhere to be. So I'm like, they're gonna be gone for like a week, and then they came back almost immediately. It was
It was 11 minutes. I didn't know it was going to be 11 minutes. And honestly, 11 minutes, because here's the thing. The whole thing is a very cool sounding thing, and I've never done anything like it in my life. So I'm not diminishing what it must be like to go up that high. I'm just saying I've been on runways for an hour, and I feel like for what it was, they should have got some more time up there. That's just me. I'm not. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, I'm saying if you go ahead and you do all this stuff to go up there, like, don't make it a high five. Like, let me be up there for a while, and then they come down, and it looked like they landed hard. Now I've both heard from friends, and then I read a whole thing about how there's this thrust that they use with the landing where it basically goes off one time to sort of soften the blow a little bit on the way down, and then it goes off one more time to make sure that you don't slam into the ground. That being said, enough dirt did move that I thought they slammed into the ground pretty hard. I thought they were all going to be flat when they opened the door. When I saw that, I was like genuinely worried. I was like, it made me by myself sitting in my apartment go, ooh! And it doesn't help that the audio also doesn't sound great. I don't know if you've heard the audio of them coming down, but they're up there in space and they're floating and everything. And then when it's time to come down, all you hear is, like, it's the most garbage, like, It made it sound like they were hurting them in there. Like, like, no, listen to it for real. It sounds insane. And don't get me wrong, if it had been me in there, I can confidently say, if it had been me in there with them, you wouldn't have heard anything. You wouldn't have heard anything because I would have already passed out a hell of a long time ago. I would have passed out so fast. As soon as I saw Earth coming back fast, I would have been like, no, thank you. You wouldn't have caught me screaming because I would have been unconscious. There's no way. I wouldn't be up here. At most, you would have got a... Like, that's all I'm hitting you with. No, that was crazy. That was crazy audio. Oh! It honestly felt like, okay, because it did low-key feel like what happened in the landing was like somehow everything Gail was worried about going up. Yeah, because this is also what happened. The only other time, I know I was talking about my mom teaching me to drive and everything, but I think the other thing that makes you make a face like that, like ring the bell, and then walk towards the flight crap ship. I think the other thing that can do it is like a bad pep talk. There are good pep talks. There are pep talks that like really bring it out of you. The thing that the person saw in you that was giving you the pep talk, it comes out through their inspiring words, right? You see it a lot in football movies. They're like, Coach, we can't. Coach, we can't get another touchdown. They big. They big and we not as big. Coach, we can't do it. All right? They're big and they're pushing this way and we're trying to go that way. Coach, it's impossible. We cannot get another touchdown. I know all we need is another touchdown to win the big game and not feel like losers, but it'll never happen. And then the coach is like, you listen here. You listen to me. Because I'm the only one with a discernible accent in the film.
You can tell me all day what you can't do. But even when you say it, even when you say you can't do it, you know what's in there? It's can. Keep saying that you can't do it. Keep saying that you can't do it. Every time you say you can't do it, you're saying you can do it, but you're adding extra. You don't need the extra. You can do it. You can do it if you just want it bad enough. How bad do you want it? How bad do you not want to be a loser? This team, they beat you every year. That's why we're doing the film. Every year, they beat you. We covered it. And we even covered in the foreshadowing that one of you is going to have a lifetime injury. But every year they beat you in this game that doesn't really mean anything. But you put your bodies on the line to lose out of fear. You don't have to be afraid anymore. You got to put your bodies on the line one more time. This is your very best I want from you, because this is it. You're seniors. This is all you have. Some of you are barely going to graduate. And none of you are making it to the NFL. So unless you want the last game that you ever played in your entire life to be a loss, you'll go out there and you'll put your joints, your tendons, your cerebellum. You'll put your knees, your ankles, your Achilles, your MCLs, your ACLs, your finger joints. You'll put it all on the line, all for the sake of that American pigskin to get to the other side. Because this is war. This is exactly like war, except you're not really fighting for anything. And when you win, when you make it to the other side, when you get that touchdown and you're standing there and they topple over the field goal post, which is going to cost thousands of dollars. And everyone runs on the field to try to lift you up, and they hurt their backs because they're old. But you're all this town has, because industry left decades ago. And so they'll try to lift your oversized bodies on their shoulders. But it won't work, because everyone in this town somehow has sciatica. So it's not going to be pretty. But when they lift you up, and you, quarterback, when your girlfriend tells you she's been keeping it from you the entire season, but she's pregnant, you'll be like, wow, at least my son's going to have a winner as a father. And you, running back, when you're holding your leg hoping it's not that bad, it is that bad, by the way. Hoping it's not that bad. You're dragging it, trying to celebrate with everybody because you're behind, because everyone sort of ran to where the touchdown was and you were hurt, so you couldn't get there, and then everyone trampled you, but you got up, which is important. When you're all lifting your helmets, like they're the helmets of warriors. I want you to think about this speech. I want you to give yourself this speech every day that you go to a job that you hate. Because this is how you're going to get through life. This is an all-American pep talk. Now go out there and win. Or don't and hate yourself for the rest of your life. But go out there and do it, right? I felt like Gail got a way worse pep talk than that. I feel like Gail's pep talk was just like, girl, why are you so nervous? You ain't gonna die. You know how hard it is to die? You're not gonna die. Just because you're going miles above the earth and then they shoot you in there with fire, you're not gonna die. It's just, you know what I mean? It's going to be a little explosion under you, and then that's going to shoot you up in the air, and then you'll be in space. You'll be floating. And I'm sure they got it under control. I'm sure you're not going to float forever and then never come back. I don't even think they would let that happen, all right?
And then when you come down, I'm sure it's gonna be fine. I'm sure you won't be like, oh, like. I'm sure it's gonna be fine. When you head back down, I bet you it's gonna be so smooth. You're gonna be floating down in a little parachute they do, and then I guarantee it. And then when you fall, you know, when the little craft hits the ground, you won't break your back at all. You know what I mean? That's already been done. We talking research in the 60s and 70s where people came back down and broke their whole back. That's not you, okay? That's not gonna be you at all right? All you gotta do is just trust the experts that have already built this thing. Trust the people that trained you and went through the process of what's gonna happen. And trust that, you know, at the end of the day, God is in control. So if it's your time to go, it's your time to go anyway. It's not like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, you do all the math you want, but if the Lord wants you, he'll take you. And that's, you know what I mean? That's not, you know, we not on our time, we on God's time. And so if God wants you to die right now, you be dead. You know what I mean? It's like, why are you worried? Why are you worried? Just, you know, you made everything right with everybody before you went, right? Like, it's not like you even need to. I'm just saying, like, when they close the door, just ask for forgiveness and then let what will be, you know? Que sera, serat. No, she just looked like she got one of those rough pep talks that had her like, okay. And they went in there. And when they shot up, they had about, I had to read this part, I wasn't sure, but they had about 4 minutes of like weightlessness, which I thought was zero gravity. It turns out it wasn't actually zero gravity. They were falling, but slowly, because they went up to the, I'm going to mispronounce it, but they went to like the Kármán line, and the Kármán line was discovered by this dude named Kármán, named after himself. That's what dudes tend to do. It's my thing. So just so you don't forget who brought you here. But yeah, Kármán was he was German, and you know, I had the absolute pleasure and the honor of going to the Jet Propulsion Lab today and getting a tour. Well, don't clap for me. I didn't know anything before I got there. But I got a tour, and they, you know, they were explaining that Kármán was German, but he came over before. He wasn't a Nazi. He came over before everything really popped off in Germany, and then he actually helped develop rockets to shoot at the Nazis. He was kind of the most opposite of a Nazi you could be. He was kind of like, hey, get him, right? Which did make it awkward when we brought those Nazi scientists here. That's gonna be a quiet day in the lunchroom. Woo! You just eat your sandwich. It's like, oh, hello, Hans. I see you made it out. Beautiful weather. Yeah, basically, they went up to the Kármán line, and then when you go past the Kármán line, that's like when you're like in space. Now, admittedly, I didn't know any of this, so I thought it was all space. I thought as soon as you left, it was space. I'm not saying I've ever been on a flight and I was like, ugh, space. I'm saying like they were high enough that they saw the moon and they saw like the corners of the earth that just looked cloudy, and I was like, that looked like space to me. It's very spacey. And what I loved about them floating, so a lot of people gave them like a ton of flack as if they were just taking selfies the whole time. It's not they were taking selfies. There's just cameras in the thing. They were looking at the cameras, but the cameras are above the window. So everybody's like, why are you looking at the camera? Look out the window. It's like, no, they were looking at Bo. They can see the window because the camera's right above it. And so they were looking in the camera some of the time, but you can see where everybody's looking out the window too. And they were weightless, so they were all excited. They're like, oh, look. And they were like, one of my favorite things was at every stage, there's just so many there's so many shots of Katy Perry floating in front of the camera that were genuinely very fun. Like they're like someone will just be in the middle of like and then Katy Perry Man, yeah, that was great. That was dope. Like, and she just had stuff too. There was one point she had this daisy, and I was like, all right, yeah. I guess. She had like her tour set list there. I was like, y'all let Katy bring anything she want on the flight. That's wild. Man. I was half expecting Katie to bring a picture of Katie up there. That was dope. That was dope. And they were having fun up there, you know. It was nice to see people, you know, have fun. Then they came down and everybody was so mad. Everybody was so mad at them. Everybody treated those 6 women like they were another reboot of an all-female Ghostbusters. Everybody. People were so mad at them. They landed and people were like, why'd you go in space? Why were you floating, Katie? Like, geez, sorry. Man. And admittedly, they got out. I did see Katie's interview. Right when she got out of the craft. And look. All right. I'm gonna do my best. Okay. I know when somebody is like annoying or odd online and you say one thing, you're one person that says one thing, it's not in your mind that big of a deal because you're one person saying one thing. You might not even be saying anything that nasty. You're one person saying one thing. But if 10 million people all say something, we are now piling on one person who didn't do anything but be, I don't know, I guess a little tone deaf or annoying or whatever, right? So quickly, what could have been like a couple people being like, that's not it, turned into the entire internet being like, oh, send her back. That's me quoting Wendy's. You know Wendy's, the sandwich company. You know Wendy's of baked potato fame? Wendy's was like, send her back. And then even, you know, Katie's team shot back at Wendy's like, how dare you wish death on Katy Perry? It's like, all right, both of y'all need to chill because she didn't die the first time. They said send her back. I don't think anybody's wishing death on. All right. And then, you know, she had her interview, and I've been the person who has tried to help the person who didn't
hear what they sound. Okay, a good example is there was a foreign exchange student one time at my school, and whenever people transfer, especially like the year's already started and they transferred, right? That is an easy target for other kids. That's a kid that's not, I'm not saying they have to get bullied, but are potentially gonna get bullied, because now anyone who is at the bottom of like the high school hierarchy, there's a new person. We don't know anything about this person, so unless they prove that they're very, very cool very, very quickly, they can be at the bottom. And because no one wants to be at the bottom, the people that were at the bottom also pile on this person, right? And so I remember just being in conversation with people like, hey, chill, leave them alone. I know they're a little odd. I look back, I was bullied. I was bullied when I was a kid. And now as an adult, I look back and I'm like, bullying is wrong, but I do see where a couple of them were coming from at certain points where I was doing the most. Like there were a couple times I did open myself up to some scrutiny. Yeah, I mean, like there are a couple of days that I could have not been humming some musical theater number so loud in the boys' locker room. Like I could have not invited some of that in. I know I was just being myself, and everybody should be allowed to be themselves, but there's also common sense. And I don't know. Yeah, I was definitely in that situation one time as a kid. And I was like, hey, look, I know that they're different, but they're different. Just chill, right? And then one time they took out all the crystals, put them on the desk. Class hadn't started yet. All the crystals on the desk. Everybody, look, what you doing? And it's like, oh, these are my crystals. And then I was like, all right, y'all, just be cool. Be cool. And then they grabbed two of the crystals and they're like, I'm like, nah, see, you're not helping me help you. You see you're not helping me help you right now. Who else in the class? Who else doing it? I'm not saying don't be an individual. I'm just saying, you know these aren't good people around us right now. I don't want anybody to be just bullies for being themselves, but yeah, she comes out and they ask her, some questions. And admittedly, this is the other thing people got to keep in mind, that some of the questions they asked her were a setup, because that person interviewing her was not like a journalist. I'm pretty sure they worked at Blue Origin. Because the first thing they say to her is like, you're officially an astronaut. She didn't say that. They said that to her. And she was like, thank you. And then they were like, tell me how you feel. And she was like, I feel so connected to love. Y'all be cool. See what I'm saying? Do you see? This is how it happens. I know. I heard it too. I know. But y'all be cool. Because Katy Perry was doing a lot. In fact, Gayle King, they asked Gayle King. They were like, hey, what was it like? And then she was like, oh, we get up there. And Katy actually sang. When we were up there, she sang What a Wonderful World. We were up there. And to me, just to me, that sounds like a little too much. We only gonna be up here for like 5 minutes. I don't know if I want to be floating, listening to what you've elected to sing to us. It wasn't like they were floating like, Katy, now! Like that wasn't... I'm guessing. I don't know. I'm not saying anyone didn't enjoy it either. All I'm saying is that that's what Gayle King said. And when she said it, I had hoped. This is what I genuinely want from the bottom of my heart, is for Katy Perry to have sang What a Wonderful World like Louis Armstrong. That would have been fire. I'm not gonna lie. That's a Katy I can get behind. If Katy, I see his ring. Railroad through. Floating? If Katy Perry had been floating, singing what a and I think to myself,
It'd be amazing. Oh. That would have been incredible. That would have been, look, that's the thing that I don't know how much they paid to take that flight. I would pay that much money to see Katy Perry do that, floating. That'd be amazing. But you just, in your heart, you kind of know that's not what she did. You know what I mean? You know she did it in the most, like, theater kid way possible. You know what I mean? You know, they in space, they float, and you know she was like you know that. Go ahead and plug up that one ear. Try to find the note somewhere. And you floating too, so it's extra hard to find. People were so mad. I didn't even know, like, I don't admittedly know much about space at all. I don't at all. That's the wildest thing is that I shouldn't even tell you this, but basically, okay, so I went to the Jet Propulsion Lab and they showed us these arrows that are basically tracking pretty much like all the things that are known, right? So pointing at Mars, pointing at certain like planets, moons, everything. And the arrows will randomly change based on what they're pointing at. And admittedly, this is how dumb I am, right? I was confused when everything wasn't just pointing up. I'm not a flat earther. But I can't see how people get there because in my head, it said Mars and then it went left. And I was like, Mars ain't left. This thing broken. Mars ain't left at all. That's crazy. Mars supposed to be up. I'm getting an attitude in my head. I'm like, Mars supposed to be up. What you mean Venus down? That's where China is. People don't have any sense, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's wild. They just It went to point at Saturn and it was pointed at me. I was like, this thing broke, dog. I'm telling you. No. I don't know much about space, and there were so many people that were like, they faked the whole thing. They didn't even go up. They never went up at all. The whole launch was AI, and then when they landed, that was a tape from a different time, because those people definitely died. And it's like, no, they don't need to fake it. They don't. I'm not trying to come out in support of like Blue Origin specifically, but it's like they don't need to fake it. This is like the 11th one that they did. They did like 10 of these already, and no one cared. Like, they didn't do the whole press run like they did for this one, so they just did 9 of them in peace. The first one that they did, I think, was William Shatner was on it, and he was like, I was saying all this space stuff, and it's like, bro, you also... Like, that is the one thing I'll say. That is like the one critique that I have of the internet's response to this, is that it's like, a part of me is like, y'all are mad because it's all women. You know what I mean? When William Shatner got off and he was saying all the space stuff, you were like, oh, William Shatner got to go to space. That's so cool. And it's like, yeah, that is cool. That it's cool for anybody to get to go to space because it's space. It's rare, you know? But you can't let him off the hook for saying like hoity-toity stuff just because he played space. This is my thing. Maybe I'm the only one that feels this way, but I was happy for Gail that she got to go. I know that she's not, you know, like an astronaut. I know she's not trained in this sort of thing, but Gail needs a break. We make Gail interview everybody before their life fall apart. We made Gail interview R. Kelly right before jail. Don't act like you don't remember that. We made Gail sit there. R. Kelly know he going to jail too. You could smell the jail on him. He knew he was going to jail. That's why he was sitting there, didn't know what to do. He was half singing, half crying. Is this working? Sweating, people coming up to blot the sweat off. And you're like, y'all kidding me? Hitting notes while he screams. Gail had to sit there the whole time. Robert. Robert. Are these cameras on? I hope these cameras are. Robert. Gail needed a break. Let her have a break. You know, let her go to space for a second. Because there's not that many differences. Tons of similarities in the people who went up to space and the people that went to Coachella. There's a ton. Both have potentially horrific bathroom experiences. You know what I mean? Like true, imagine. Because first of all, you at Coachella, right? And you just trying to get through your day, see your favorite bands, have experiences with your friends. You're financing this thing. It's going to take you months to pay off, trying to make the most of it. And so maybe, yeah, you had a chili dog before you came. Now you're standing there, sort of stand dancing, listening to Weezer. Sick riff comes in, and right then you feel it. Not a quiet one. A quiet one is your body telling you, you ever have one of those quiet ones that like, it's just a moment, and only you know it happened. You're the only person in the world that knows. It reminds me of those moments in a horror movie where a little kid's like, so you book it. You go out of whatever badge area you have and everything. You don't care about anything. You're just running, trying to get through. And what do you find? A line. A line to use one of the most blown out porta potties in the history of America. This thing, it's like a little wooden. It's like they're not even supposed to be wooden anymore. This is from Woodstock, 1977. Same thing. You know, maybe try and make the most of life. You get this incredible experience. You get to go to space. You get to go to space with these incredible new women that have come into your life through this experience. You've had your 2 days of training together, getting to know each other, doing this like op-ed together and everything. And you try and enjoy life to the fullest. And so you do. You get ready to go on this space trip. It's going to be 11 minutes, but they're going to be an incredible 11 minutes of your life. And so, yeah, before you leave home, you have a chili dog. You have a chili dog, and you're walking on, and you ring the bell. You're having a good time. You strap in and everything, and right as you strap in, you're waiting to take off, and you hear. They take off, you feel a couple G's, you're like, no.
You get into space. You almost touch the Kármán line. Then you hit the ground. You hit the ground. Plop. Okay. I made it. 11 minutes. I held it together. You pop out of the little pod, trying to calmly look for the nearest bathroom. Everybody clapping. Everybody clapping. Oprah there, the Jenners, everybody clapping. And then somebody runs up. How's it feel to be an astronaut? Can I tell you in 5 minutes? Oh, there's a ton of similarities. Space trip and Coachella, both cool outfits. You know, people at Coachella usually make theirs, but they have these cool suits made and everything. Both things sponsored by Amazon, sponsored by Bezos. Both things yield really interesting, esoteric captions on Instagram. You know, they ask Katy Perry how she feels, and she goes, I feel so connected to love. This is the most powerful, spiritual, loving experience I've had, second to the birth of my child, right? And be honest. Tell me that's also not Instagram caption about Coachella. Like if we're being fair, you know? When I watched Katie's interview right out of the pod, I was like, y'all clouded this woman just because the edibles hit. Like, everyone was so mad. They were so mad. And I don't even think they're mad at like Katie or any of those women. I don't think they're mad that like the thing is like tone deaf in nature or whatever. I think they're mad because people are like having a hard time living. Do you know what I mean? It's like they are kind of like the easy placeholder right now for how we feel about how the actual world is. No one's really mad at them. If they had gone and come back, you wouldn't have known. That's how little it affects our actual lives. But we're mad because we see it and we see like, because the thing with the Blue Origin as well is we don't actually know how much it costs to go up. And we know some people get invited to go up and some people have to pay. But they do a thing, and this is very crafty. This is how the rich stay rich, right? We know that it's like $150K deposit if you want to go. We don't know what the next installments are. And I feel like we don't know what the next installments are so they can charge people different stuff. Because maybe you put down 150 and then you have to pay another 150 to go up. And then you put down 150, but you got to pay 500,000 to go up. And as long as y'all don't talk, it's all good. Because these people come together from all walks of life and all these different places in the world and they go up. But for a similar flight, for a similar flight to what they did, there was a guy who paid $28 million. All right? He's allowed to be mad. He's allowed to be mad that anybody got to do it for free because 28 million, even if you're a billionaire, 28 million is still a dent. Like that's wild, 28 million. So I'm just saying, it's wild that thing, we're assuming anyone on that flight had to pay. I can't imagine Bezos making his fiance pay. You know, I don't know if anybody on that flight paid. And I know that the only poor version that we have of what they did is froyo. Because you ever been filling up your cup and you don't have that much of your account, so you got to fill it with hope. You got to hope that like, that's a lot of air. That's a lot of air. Let's just put it on the weight right here. $550, thank goodness.
One time I was getting froyo and I was okay. I was by myself, but there was a woman checking out before me, and she had stuffed it, got the cookie dough in there, and she had the M&Ms. She had a couple extra flavors, and it was high. It was like a little pyramid of froyo and everything. And then old boy went to ring her up, and it was 135. And I was like, I know he lifted the scale because I'm looking at $17 easy. And then it was my turn. And I put my little one flavor with 2 popping bobas in there. And he rang me up for $13.59. And I was like, so... you got your thumb on it, or what you do? This is crazy. Because I don't think we're that mad at them. I think what's actually happening is that it's very hard to get by right now, and it's hard to escape. And I don't know. Everyone could use a little escapism one way or another, and we're losing access to that because whether you want to go on spring break, and spring break is the most expensive it's been in potentially recorded history. Or you want to just go to Coachella. Dude, Coachella tickets. So I didn't even know this was happening. Apparently there are people that are like financing their Coachella trip in like installments. Like they put Coachella on layaway. And it's not like some people. Apparently it's like 60% of ticket goers are like on a payment plan for Coachella, which is insane. That's wild. That you, in increments, long after, you still paying for Coachella, long after Coachella and stuff. And then you see these people who get a break. They get to go to space for free. And you know they could have paid. You know they could afford to pay it. You get angry. And I think people would be less angry if they just went ahead and whether they did a whole flight or half a flight filled with people who just need a break. You know what I mean? That's all you gotta do. Just get like two of the most tired moms you can find. And you barely have to pitch them. It's like, look, you will be weightless for 5 minutes. They'll be like, put it in my veins. You know, just find like one server who's done like 2 doubles in 2 days. You will go to space and you won't be able to hear anything. Yes, that sounds right. You know, somebody is down on their luck, just needs to pick me up. Somebody who life has been incredibly hard for. You just grab them and you tell them, hey, I want to give you a trip to space. It won't be long, but it'll be spectacular. You will see Earth in the way that few people will ever get to in their entire lives. You'll see the beauty of the entirety of the planet, and you'll see how small all these people, all these problems, all these things are in the grand scheme of the universe. And Katy Perry will sing "What a Wonderful World" like Louis Armstrong to you. It'll be spectacular. Y'all been amazing. Thank you so much.
I appreciate y'all so much. Y'all have a fantastic night.